go to preschool between 2 and 5 years old. I remember there was a big debate about this. It would be awful. We would turn the children into institutional children, and they would be badly brought up. But no, it has been a very good experience. Now, the third key element is political and economic engagement of women themselves. I mentioned this earlier. And I think it's important to mention that what different the women's movement in Iceland, both the late 19th, early 20th century and the revival of feminism in the 60s, was that we were fortunate that it ended up creating political parties. And that was important because that brought women more into the political arena. It got them into a position of authority. They could raise the political issues important for women and get decisions going through. Now, these political parties do not exist anymore, but they were important at that time. But subsequently, the mainstream political parties have been very conscious of that experience, and they do not want to lose the leadership. So they are very careful of ensuring gender balance in the slates, in the elections. Some of them have introduced quotas. Others have applied different methods to make sure that there's a good gender balance on their slates before elections and getting women into the government. We've also introduced, like in Austria, gender quotas for the boards of public and private companies. This is important because it not only gives evidently women more opportunity, but it changes the way business and politics is done to get the engagement. In this context, I'd like to mention the Association of Women Business Leaders in Iceland that you met when you were in Iceland, because they have been very active in promoting women and doing similar things that you're doing. One of the things that was said when we introduced quotas for the boards, this is useless. The women, the company said, we never can get any women to sit on the boards. They're not interested. They don't want to be there. They don't have the time. All these excuses. Then the association, they went out and they created a database of women, leading women in business that were willing to serve on the boards of the companies. And so now when the companies complain that they cannot fill the quotas, they pull out that list and say, well, here we got several hundred very competent women. You just pick and choose. There's no difficulties. They've also focused on trying to change the image in the media. Another issue there, the media often says, you can't get women to come and talk in talk shows. They don't want to come for interviews. Same there, they created a very important database where they simply pull it out. If a journalist wants to speak to a woman business leader, they just call them and they get a list and they can pick from that list. Now, the final key element is the engagement of men. And I think that this is the most recent trend in the women's movement and feminism in Iceland, is the recognition that you do need to get us involved. Feminism or women's equality is not only about women, it also improves our own lives. And you need to get men to get engaged and participate better and change their attitude. Here are a number of important things I would like to mention to you. Is at the turn of the century, we abolished the maternity leave and we introduced paternity leave. Parental leave, not paternity, parental leaves. Because we don't want to identify either with a man or woman who should be at the home. And what we do not have 2 years like Austria. The parental leave is 9 months. Women get 3, men get 3, and then they can split 3. And it's very important. The guys, they cannot transfer it. They take it or they lose it. And the parents get 80% of the salaries while they're on the leave. So usually what they do, young parents, they usually take 3 months together. So they get both parents with the child for first 3 or 6 months, or the 2 to 3 months, and then they split the second the remaining 3 months between them. Research shows that 90% of men take advantage of this. And what is important is that research shows this is changing the attitude of young men in Iceland. There's no question about it. There's much more growing personal commitment of men towards gender equality, and has improved the relations in the workplace and in all respect. Now you see young men out in the ice cream parlor taking photos of themselves with the carriers, putting that on Facebook. Here I'm with young Sigga doing shopping. This is important because it changes the whole idea of manhood, boyhood, and what you are. Another research shows also this has increased the joint responsibility for children, and that's very important. And why we do not like to promote divorce, but it's important to look at the statistics that 75% of divorced parents, 75% of divorced parents have opted for joint custody of the children. It is an indication that you have more equal commitment from the parents to their children. Now, these are the examples that I want to give you. These are very practical, simple way we've done it in order to get gender more mainstreamed into our administration, politics, and our life. And even in our foreign policy, gender is one of priority area. And one of my instructions as an ambassador is to get engaged and promote gender equality, just like human rights where I am. We are not as advanced as Sweden. They are developing feminist policy, foreign policy. Maybe we'll get there later, but we have very active foreign policy when it comes to gender. Last question that you raised in your invitation, how can we cooperate? Briefly, I've probably gone over my time. I would like to mention 3 suggestions. I think it's important, firstly, that we get the MOU that you've just signed with the Icelandic Association of Women Entrepreneurs, get that one activated by working together and getting the Women's Association in Iceland to come to India. That's the best way of getting those numerous ideas that are in the MOU active and engaged. The second thing that I would like to suggest that you might want to take advantage of the Gender Equality Studies and Training Program of the United Nations University that is hosted by the government of Iceland and Reykjavik. You can either apply there as an individual and go there and take the program. It's a university level program, and it covers business, administration, and other sides of an education. Or you might want to build relations with them from India. It's quite instructive. And the last suggestion, we might want to work on the man together. I think that's something that's interesting. And I would like to mention here in that context that Iceland and Suriname initiated a special conference in January this year at the United Nations headquarters in New York called the Barbershop Conference. And the barbershop was the idea of who goes to barbershop is man. What do they talk about when they go and the haircut? Same what women talk about when they go to the hairdresser. They talk about man. Men talk about women when they go to barbershop. So the idea there was to get leaders, politicians, foreign ministers, ambassadors, to talk about gender issues and talk about how men can contribute to fight violence against women and promote women and career-wise. We are trying to experiment getting this concept to other countries. So maybe we could work together and convincing the Indian government to receive and host the barbershop conference here in India and put up an interesting. And get some male leaders from business and politics in India to participate. Now, with that, I've largely exceeded my time, and I thank you again for inviting me.
Thank you, Ambassador. A lot of learning for us. I think Flo should certainly take out a list for media. We are working on the women, and I like this idea of a barbershop conference. Maybe we should organize something in the next quarter, get some political leaders, ambassadors, and do we just stand and supervise on the edges? Is it? I think we could call this a mini barbershop conference. So.
Thank you so much. It was so great to know. I know your country is very exhausted, but I didn't know it was so progressive. And especially women are given so much importance in your country. Amazing. But I would like to tell you that here in India also, we're trying to get 30% reservation for the women in the parliament, in the panchayats and other. And we've also got many programs for the women, like we have Beti Bachao and all program, and we're also trying to do a lot for the women in the country. But thank you so much.